When I first came across the Konnected Joe at a food and music festival, I was like, are you crazy? Is this for real? An electric ceramic egg barbecue. And I thought, is it necessary? But then I remembered that a friend of mine recently told me they had a ceramic egg barbecue and it had been sat untouched in their garden for over a year because they didn't feel they had confidence enough in using one of these types of barbecues, the Kamado cooking style. And it had me thought like, well, I guess I'm not the average Joe. This isn't an ordinary ceramic egg barbecue. The Konnected Joe has a built-in AFS system where it can automatically ignite the barbecue for you. I mean, that takes up a lot of the stress already for lighting these style of barbecues or barbecue cooking generally. So this is the second time I'm going to fire up this barbecue. I'm hungry. I want to cook some spatchcocked chicken. I'm going to marinate it with some lovely herbs. It's going to be delicious. And because it's the Konnected Joe, we're going to showcase some of the features that it has that will eliminate some of the stress and difficulty that a complete novice would have, and that you can feel confident in using this style of barbecue. For full disclosure, just a little heads up, Kamado Joe haven't paid us for this video today. However, they did gift us this beautiful barbecue and we get to keep it. However, all of our thoughts and opinions are completely our own. It's completely unfiltered video. They don't even get to see it before it goes live. You guys are the first ones to see it. And we know how much you guys love my unfiltered videos. Hopefully you guys can form your own opinions as well, whether this is the right barbecue for you. Now, with all of that out the way, let's get cooking. So first things first, we need to get the barbecue lit. And what is great about the Kamado Joe Konnected is with a push of a button, it's going to ignite it for you. I mean, if only everything was easy to turn on with the push of a button. Come have a look inside. There is an electric coil just at the base here, plus a fan. So when you put your charcoal in, it will ignite for you. But you do need power. So I've run a power cable from my power point outside into the barbecue. But now I need to fill it up with charcoal, and I'll show you how much I'm going to use today. So this is the regular size of the Konnected series. There's 18 inches diameter of grilling space, which is plenty for my family and I. So if you notice, I've not filled the ceramic egg entirely with charcoal because that would be too much for my spatchcocked chicken. Rookie mistake number one is often using too little charcoal or too much charcoal when lighting one of these ceramic eggs. The amazing thing about the Konnected Joe is it eliminates that problem because it will control, ignite and maintain, I don't need that in there, control and maintain the correct temperature or need that you set it to throughout the duration of your cooking period. So you don't need to stress about adding more or less charcoal. But a rule of thumb, and if you don't have the Konnected Joe or a normal ceramic barbecue, you don't want too much charcoal on there when you're trying to ignite it because you want a bit of airflow. But because this has got a built-in fan, you don't need to worry about that. I don't even need to faff about with any of these things, fire lighters or anything. It's going to do that for me. So let's just get it lit. Helps to turn it on. And we're going to set the temperature we want it at. And it reminds you to close the lower draft door, which is this part here, because it has a built-in fan. And I want this at a high roasting temp, so think about, yeah, 240 sounds about great. We'll set the temperature. Tells you to open to 50%, halfway for the vent up top. And then we're going to just push the AFS button. This is the automatic fire starter button. This is going to ignite the Kamado Joe inside. And that's all I need to do. You can just hear slight whirring where the fan inside is starting to blow around, and the electric coil will heat up those charcoals. So there's no need for any loofah or fire lighters anymore. Fantastic. Famous last words. So I did a vent recently and I was so shocked that so many people didn't know how to spatchcock a chicken. So I'm going to show you the simplest way to do it right here, right now. I've got my lovely chicken and you're just going to flip it onto, so its backbone is facing upwards, and grab some kitchen shears. These are like badass kitchen scissors, and bless you. And then what we're going to do is you're going to find the Pope's nose, the parson's tail, and we're going to cut either side of the chicken backbone. A little bit of wrist strength, cut all the way down. You can do this with a knife, Honestly, good pair of kitchen scissors also gets the job done. And just cut that out. There we go. And then I'm just going to lay that on the side. You can keep it for stocks or sauces for later on, or throw it away. And then what we're going to do is put the bird back down, so skin facing up. And then just with a little bit of pressure on the thumbs, push back in the middle of the breastbone to flatten it. And it's as simple as that. That is a spatchcocked chicken. Just to make things a little bit easier, I'm going to use a couple of skewers. This is going to help if I need to turn it around and it doesn't all just completely fall apart in my hand. So it's almost like retrussing it again. Now these ones are quite big. So I'm just going to thread it right through the thighs, just the end of that breastbone, and through the thighs again. That means when I'm moving it, that the legs and arms won't just completely fall off. It's much easier to move it around. If you don't have this, don't worry about that. But if you're going to use wooden ones, just be careful, they might burn. Right, let's make the marinade up. I'm going to make a really, really simple vinaigrette slash a marinade. I've got such a bountiful amount of oregano that has gone absolutely nuts this summer because of the heat. So I needed to think of a recipe to use this up. So I'm gonna, this is all being well washed. I'm just going to, let's move this chicken over here actually. Back to that tray. Right, I'm gonna just thread all of this fresh oregano I've got. You can do dried, but fresh is going to be better and much nicer flavor. I'm just going to take it off all that hard stem. You're also going to want about 3 lemons, zested and juiced, 5 garlic cloves, minced. I'm going to save the flowers there for later on. And a good healthy handful of chopped up oregano leaves, plus about 250 mils of olive oil, like extra virgin tasty stuff, and salt and pepper. And that's it. Really, really simple. You don't need to marinate this like overnight. I don't think it really penetrates the flavor that much, but you can if you want. If you're doing something like a harissa marinade or dressing, then yeah, give it like 24 hours to really penetrate. But it's chicken. I don't actually feel like, unless it's brined, that you get much of the flavour in there. So I'm going to just baste a lot of this back onto the chicken as it's cooking, or finish it as the dressing on top. If anyone else has any good recipes to use up oregano, please hit me up in the comments, because I've got so much of it to use up. That and lemon balm. It's gone a little bit crazy over there. Right, I'm gonna mince it all up. Right, so when it's minced up to about this sort of fineness, let's pop it into a bowl. And then I'm going to zest about 3 lemons. Lemon and chicken is such a great combination. You know what would be absolutely delicious with this? If we're going to marinate a little bit of this with the chicken, but we're going to finish it off with a little bit of mayonnaise hot honey. There we go. So zest of 3 lemons done. And always before you juice a lemon or citrus fruit, just give it a little squash, little fumble in the hands, just to release maximum amount of juice. Sorry, Mum. And then a squeeze. Don't stress about the pips too much. Next up, we're going to mince up 5 cloves of garlic. It's going to be extremely garlicky. Actually, I'm going to go with 4 cloves because they were massive. And a good old glug of olive oil. Make sure it's a nice, good quality olive oil. That'll be plenty. And salt, that's my cooking salt, and pepper. Just give it a real good mix, and then we're going to get stuck in. So you want to cover every nook and cranny of this chicken. Make sure you get right underneath the wings and the legs. Always got to pay attention between the legs. And flip her over. Now, every little bit there is covered in this marinade. Let's go check on the barbecue. So in the time that it's taken me to prepare and marinate that chicken, this has come up to 234 degrees. So let's have a look inside how it's done. Always be careful when opening Kamado Joe. Wow, and those coals are white hot. They've got a nice sustained heat in there. Now, the next thing I see, and it's a common mistake that I see people do, is they put in the grills and then they'll put in the food, and what will happen is that temperature will drop. So what I'm going to do next is put in the deflector plate and the grills and then let that sit a bit longer just so that it can stabilize the heat again before I put the meat in. Now I'm going to do what I call indirect and direct style cooking. So I'm going to use this heat deflector plate to go in on one half. That's really hot, so I'm going to put some gloves on. Always use protection, kids. And that's going to go on one side of my barbecue. So what that's going to do is literally indirect is going to prevent too much heat going directly to the meat there. So what I'm going to do is cook the chicken here and then move it over to this side to get a bit crispier. So you see here, just by putting in that heat deflector plate and those grills, this has dropped down to 150, and on here it says, yep, just under 150. So you can see it's almost dropped nearly 100 degrees by putting in those plates. So if I put the meat in now, that's going to drop even further. Now, if I wasn't using the Konnected Joe, you'll be really struggling to stabilize the heat by opening the fan or the vent up to try and get that heat back up. Patience is always key when using these type of barbecues, or any other barbecue, to be honest. So for a barbecue that claims to light itself or has a automatic fire starter, very, very fancy, it's definitely done the job. This one's for you, Tony. You better get cooking now. I just found another feature I like. It's got a lock. So where my heat deflector is, I'm going to put the chicken. I'm going to do it skin side up. So this Kamado Joe comes with a built-in probe. So you can actually get up to 3 here, which is fantastic. So if you're cooking lots of different things. Right, I'm popping it in there. And I will close this up. So in the meat probe, I'm going to set the temperature . I'm going to set the temperature to, I think 68 is perfect. We did that the other day and it was fantastic. So it says the breast is at 25 degrees. It's going to 68. It's going to tell me when it's at 68 degrees. Happy days. And then we're going to move it over to the direct cooking over the coals just to get that skin super crispy. That's really the hard bit done. Now I need to grab a really, really ice cold drink because it's so hot and I'm melting. And I'm just going to keep an eye on it. Now, if you had Wi-Fi connection, you can actually download the Kamado Joe app and connect that with your Kamado Joe. So you could even go inside and have a drink inside and keep an eye on the heat and probe the meat temperature inside there. That's just too easy now. They're just making it too easy for us. You see how that heat deflector is stopping any of the juices dripping right down into the coals? Because what will happen if any of the fat or oils go into the fire, it will just cause a bit of an oil fire, which means everything inside will just go black and too smoky and inedible. It's all about controlling that fire and being the boss of it. So this whole series came about because I bumped into the Kamado Joe team and I instantly felt like I was reconnected with the Kamado Joe, because Kamado Joe actually happened to be one of the first ceramic eggs Kamado cooking barbecues that I had as a head chef in my kitchen. And I was immediately emotional because I remembered how reliant I was on that barbecue, because when I was working in that kitchen all those years ago, it was really just me and a couple other chefs. And so this barbecue was literally my workhorse. It was like having a sous chef. It was that reliable that I could light it. It stayed a really good, consistent temperature, but also that I got so used to working with a ceramic egg that I just instinctively knew how to work them. And When I heard my friend say that they had a barbecue and they've not even dared to touch it because they didn't have the confidence for it, I felt a little bit like, oh, yeah, maybe that's right. Like, people don't have the experience, obviously, as a professional chef, but I'd love to be able to show you guys how you can use these ceramic eggs to get really good results and also have fun in doing it. So I can hear the Kamado Joe beeping away. So let's have a look inside. Wow, look at that skin. That has surprised me, the results, because it is so crispy here. That's lovely and juicy. Cheeky shameless plug. I've been working on a Haigh sauce range for the past few years, and this hot honey I know is going to be absolutely delicious over the top of this. Now I've put it directly over the coals now, and I'm just going to really quickly let that just crisp up a bit more, and then it's ready to serve. Now you think I'm going to waste the rest of that marinade? Oh, you are mistaken. I love a bit of garlic, so that is going to go at the bottom of this plate that I'm going to serve the chicken on as almost like an extra sauce. And then I got a couple extra lemons. I'm thinking maybe a little bit of burnt lemon to go on top as well. So those are going to go on the barbecue with that chicken. Whew. Right, I'm just going to let that rest a little, because always let your meat rest. But first impressions, really nice, even colour. There's nothing like looking like overly burnt or crisp or dry. I think this is a really important thing when you're cooking chicken. And it's such a great way of using up my oregano from my kitchen. Now, how simple was that? I marinated it, I set the oven, which already lit for itself, set the temperature, put the meat probe in, and then cooked it. It was so simple. And I didn't even have to adjust any of the charcoal. I didn't have to adjust any of the temperature of the fans or the vents. It just automatically managed it itself. And so I could just probably focus on all the other important things going on in the kitchen. It's a juicy little bird there. I don't know if you can see there. Whoa. But that is so juicy. You want to have a slice? You know you like a wet bird, darling. Boiling hot. I am not forgetting about those burnt lemons that are on the barbecue. Got a little extra oregano flowers from the garden. So why not? Make everything pretty. You see how that lemon juice is just caramelized? That is delicious. They are scorching hot. So chef's hands right now. And then I'm just going to do a little extra, there's a little bit more of that juice, a little bit extra of that marinade just over the top. Really seal it in, all that garlic flavour, all that oregano. I'm probably going to pair this with a gorgeous fresh feta salad or something, keep on that Greek theme. And what do you think? I think that was probably the most stress-free barbecue chicken I've ever made. Thank you very much, Kamado Joe. There is definitely some aspects of this barbecue I'd like to get to know a bit more of, and over time we'll get to explore that. In the rest of this barbecue series, we're going to dive into some of the features and accessories that come with the Kamado Joe Konnected. You're coming along a journey with me with this barbecue, and frankly, if we're getting results like this straight off the bat, I'm extremely happy. But what do you think? Let me know. Leave me a comment, or maybe you have a question about Kamado cooking or Kamado Joe's. Just pop it in the comments below, because I'd love to read what you're thinking and try and answer some of the questions you might have in the next video. So thank you very much, guys, and see you next time. My earliest memory of barbecues has to be when we used to go camping in France, and we'd get like those little disposable or one of those little kettle grills, and we would set it up and we'd have whatever the freshest seafood there was available in that local area.